You guys know I've done videos about Marvel Thor in the past. I actually did a video about Thor before God of War Ragnarok came out from his feats from just the pure lore of what they talked about in that game, but not talking about live action Thor from Marvel or the comic book one. Let's talk about, again, Thor from the God of War Ragnarok video game. You actually get to see the visual feats on panel along with his lore. Do me a favor and watch my Kratos videos I got on the channel before you watch this to get an understanding of how strong Thor would have to be to even compete in his same ballpark. Naturally, you know he's a beast by default because he's literally the son of Odin, an all-father. But what makes him even scarier is that he has genetics from Odin, and he's actually considered part giant too, just like Atreus. He's half giant, Atreus says. Odin says, oh, that's no big deal because so is Thor. Just like you would expect, Thor is a massive being and he projects lightning. He has a very powerful weapon and he uses that he can summon at will at his beck and call. The mighty hammer Mjolnir. Like, for example, you know these guys are the sons of Thor, right? And they had overpowered gear too, like weapons like this and stuff, but it's confirmed that their weapons are just knockoffs of Thor's hammer. So yeah, their weapons are nothing compared to Mjolnir. Yeah, he can literally summon it to him at will. Physical strength-wise, we see him literally lock arms with Kratos. He doesn't have to rely on Mjolnir to be a power. Heck, he even boxes it up with Kratos 1v1 with just bare fists for a little while. As you can see, just showing his power against Kratos. He has the raw power to create shockwaves with a thunderclap. Kratos currently is one of those characters that holds back a lot because he's trying to be different from the way he was in the past. And Kratos simply holding back wasn't enough to give Thor a challenge. Thor even mentions it and roasts him the whole fight. Even roasted him saying, how are you ever a god of war fighting like this? Letting you know Kratos really holds back by almost subconsciously. The Leviathan axe plus Kratos' strength was able to do this to Thor, and he was still able to keep on fighting after a cut. It seemed it didn't even do super damage to him. It was like more like a flesh wound. The same Leviathan axe that can do that to Mjolnir and literally stalemate each other, so Thor can take a lot of punishment from a bladed weapon that can match Mjolnir. His endurance is so good, he withstood being stabbed by the blades of chaos right in the side where he got hit by the axe and still kept fighting like it didn't happen. Seriously, did anybody catch this part where his hammer blocked the attack though? That was epic. He easily destroyed pieces of statues just by collateral of them fighting each other to show their power. Yeah, you see the statue messing up. Thor claims throughout the whole fight, stop holding back. He knows Kratos is stronger than this. He's saying his holding back's not enough, claiming he wants to see the real monster inside of Kratos. Technically, in narrative, it has been shown on screen. He actually got a legit W on Kratos. Like, Kratos was like holding back, of course, but he was asleep and implied that he had died. Resurrected him to want him to fight harder because he knows he's holding back, so he wants to see the real him. You can see how they strike and it clashes all of that environment like that. You can tell Thor's fighting for real when you see the lightning around his face and everything clashing with his Leviathan axe. He doesn't need his energy projection for his destructive capacity, but one can make an implication that his energy projection or lightning is just as strong as his punches or strikes in general. It's pretty obvious he has the strength to shake the planet itself. You can see right here, he's clearly not using his hammer. He can create powerful blows just with his godlike strength without necessarily using the hammer. Like, for example, him clashing with Kratos makes a big old crater shockwave type of explosion after that. Like, yeah. Matter of fact, he has so much striking power, he messed up Kratos' shield that withstood tons of blows from Baldur himself to show how strong Thor had to be. The same Baldur that knocked out the big, giant, planet-sized snake. Despite all of this, his shield was able to hold up to all of this, but Thor had the strength to break this same shield apart. It's heavily implied that Thor is quite different from Baldur, even though Baldur gave Kratos a decent battle. Kratos has his own journal entry opinion about him, about how his attacks are heavy as any he's ever felt. Considering Kratos has felt punches from the Skyfather Zeus, that's impressive coming from Kratos' opinion. The strength to just crush your head with Mjolnir if you're not careful to not get in his way. You remember when Kratos took on the sons of Thor, him and Atreus took on two grown men when Atreus was just a boy? Thor pretty much says, yeah, beating his sons is cool and all. His sons are nowhere the level of his actual dad himself. He eventually saw that, oh yeah, I can see how my sons could lose to you, but he's not his sons. But Thor wants to make it clear that he's not his sons, and beating his sons doesn't necessarily mean you can take him on. Proof that he's way above his sons is that this is how he straight up bullied one of his sons, his own father. Yeah, Thor was kind of a douchebag. He was pretty defeated, couldn't even walk. Even strong deities like Heimdall, they can see what you do before you do it because of his great vision. It's implied even he didn't want no smoke from Thor when Thor told him to do something. It kind of lets you know the power difference, and Heimdall's pretty mighty on his own. He can kind of fight Kratos too. It's even implied here the way they talk to each other. Heimdall's pretty powerful in his own right and was giving Kratos some issues when it comes to his fighting capabilities, so it lets you know that he's definitely a beast. So for Thor to threaten such a being that can do this to Kratos, let you know how strong he is. Even though I gotta admit, I still give Kratos the strength advantage, but just let you know how these other gods aren't farted just because they're not Thor. So let you know how Thor has to be to threaten him like that. You know, the standard destructive stuff he has the power to do. Another one of his feats is taking out giants. Yes, this mountainous sized giant you saw in the 2018 game is because of Thor, the body of this mountain sized giant. How he was indeed mountainous. We already know that just like Kratos, he can beat down things that are literally the size of mountains themselves. This kind of reminds me of how Kratos took on mountain-sized titans before. So despite them being two different mythologies, they still have similar feats like fighting mountain-sized things. That's Thor for you. Thor took out this giant. That corpse got resurrected to fight Kratos. Despite this mountain-sized giant, yeah, when it was possessed and it still had the crazy weight, Kratos still could like move this giant hand out of the way with his strength. There's more angles of how big this giant was that Thor fought. Like, it's freaking ridiculously big. He's even taken care of other giants. They even talking about how he was a stone giant and he struck his head so hard. And the giant fell on top of him and he was good afterwards, durability-wise. He beat so many giants up, so they had to dip for their safety. Giants couldn't even be found in Midgard no more. I mean, it's implied he can imbue his whole body with lightning while he's fighting, even if his hammer's not on him necessarily, to electrify you that way. He can even make omnidirectional lightning type of blasts that can't really be dodged. He has energy projection so intense. Thor made a thunderstorm so intense that it scattered his 3 ships across the lake. Who do you know that actually channeled lightning through Kratos' blades? It seems like this, where it looked like he can zip like around like lightning with his hammer. One could say helping out his godlike speed. And then we got to talk about powerhouses like Surtur that exist in this universe and acknowledge how strong these beings are. Another being that should be respected when it comes to finding out how strong this version of Thor is. Surtur is the reason fire exists in the young cosmos. He brought heat to the cosmos, making the sun from his primordial flame, the source of fire itself, and all the sun and stars. If the legends believe, Surtur is responsible for all the suns, because the prophecy came true of Thor fighting this being at Ragnarok. Like how it was stated how Thor and the snake will battle at Ragnarok. They were hitting each other so hard that it shakes the tree of life itself, that it splinters, casting the serpent backward through time even before his own birth. Kratos even said that's madness, so it lets you know the striking power was crazy. The legend was not exaggerated, because you see in Ragnarok, you can see that Thor is strong enough to damage the snake with crazy blows like that, and it looks like it falls over. Imagine fighting a giant planet-sized snake. You hit him so hard, they just literally vanish and go through time because he shakes the tree of life itself. In the new game, they pretty much said that the legend was true. That blow Thor hit him with sent Jormungandr straight back in time. So there's like a literal time loop stuff going on, which is why he found young Atreus familiar in the first game. Like, yeah, some time loop type stuff. You know how in Dragon Ball Z they have their own macrocosm, aka multiple universe size structures inside of one universe? Like how you have heaven here, the mortal universe, hell, the different stuff like that, right? But tell me why in this Norse land in the God of War multiverse, they have this Yggdrasil tree that's the tree of life, and it holds all the realm. Everything flows to the tree. The tree itself exists in the past, present, and the future all at the same time. The tree of life holds all the realms. Thor and the snake's battle could be felt across all the realms with the clash of their power. All the realms exist in the same physical space. They all coexist on the branches of the world tree. This is only a representation of the world tree. The world tree is actually much more than this little visual representation of it. The tree's existence supports all of creation along its boughs, every strand transcending times, transcending space. Birth, growth, death, rebirth, all within the same tree. So a tree in the Norse mythology multiverse of the God of War game, holding all these different realms all on this one tree. Can you imagine boxing somewhere over here in this realm, but all these realms over here that are not even over, they're not in the same area, and they're able to feel the shockwaves of the realms just from some dude over here having a fight? Imagine being so strong your strikes shake the entire tree of life that holds 9 universes. Think of us little mere mortals like this. The universe is over here, and then there's like another universe on this random branch, and then there's another universe on this random branch over here and over in this corner. All different universes. Your shockwave of your battle splinters the tree of life that's holding universes within it, transcending time, space, all at the same time, having power to shake multiple. So he has the striking power to shake 9 universes, or hit so hard something that's holding universes splinters. You know you hitting people hard when you accidentally sending people backward through time, affecting the world, treating ways you accidentally did it. Like, did Thor shake the past, the present, and the future? Because the Yggdrasil exists in past, present, future, rebirth. It exists all at the same time everywhere. Or one could say he shook the actual timeline itself. But it depends on how you look at it. And breaking down rubble like this is easy for his strength. And when it comes to his fighting speed, you know Thor is way faster than the speed of light if he can keep up with Kratos this much, considering the fast beings that Kratos has fought. Like literal speedster type beings he can react to mid-blitz. You know, that's just common knowledge. I got a video more in depth about the speed. Didn't want to spend too much time on it because I've already went over it a million times in my Kratos videos about these characters' speed in this multiverse. He uses his travel speed in combat, how he can zip around the field to kind of dance around Kratos mid-fight. And of course, these Draugr would be fighting throughout the games. He can take them on. Or he can break apart a large chunk of ice on more than one occasion. But at the end of the day, all of this could be just me. Did you know Thor was this overpowered? I mean, you just had to accept he was going to be this powerful. Look at all the stuff Kratos has done during my Kratos vids and stuff. It just adds up. He has to be this over the top, or it wouldn't make sense to the lore for him to even be a challenge for Kratos like he was. But at the end of the day, what do you guys think? Do you think he was as mighty as Kratos or slightly below him? Or do you think he was a little bit above Kratos when it comes to Kratos holding back? When it comes to Kratos giving it everything he got, I think Kratos got the advantage, but they're not leagues and leagues apart from each other, so they should be around the same ballpark of power, right? But at the end of the day, respect Thor regardless of how you look at it. Even if you do believe Kratos is stronger, the fact that he was actually able to kill Kratos and revive him to fight more seriously lets you know that he's up there with him. But before I get going, thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Thor. I will see you guys later, though. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.